Hampshire tonight and not backing down from his attacks on Hillary Clinton. Listen.
Obviously, they didn't trust her because Obama, her. Can I say the word? Obama. I won't. By the way, that word, that's a common word in New York, and it means to be beaten badly. I won't give the press any more fun with it. And by the way, also, NPR, okay, National Public Radio, one of the most revered MCs, political people, one of the most revered, used it. And he used the exact same word, even the ED at the end. For him, it was okay. For Trump, it's horrible. But what it means is to be beaten badly. I mean, that's what it means. I guess it has other meanings, but it means, and what I meant, is to be beaten badly.
All right, so I want to bring in now Hugh Hewitt. There he is. How was your Christmas?
It was wonderful, Don. I hope you had a merry one yourself.
I did. We spent the entire time talking about you and Donald Trump. I'm only kidding. But let's talk about that because he is hitting Hillary Clinton. He's also hitting Chris Christie in New Hampshire tonight. But, you know, we're also seeing Christie target Marco Rubio as well. Rubio's knocking Ted Cruz. Jeb is attacking Christie and Trump. This is all in New Hampshire. Any of this, is that going to knock Trump out of the top spot, you think?
I think it is certainly to his advantage that the so-called Republican establishment lane, I heard Kevin Madden earlier saying the so-called establishment, or Matt Lewis, and that has got Chris Christie, Marco Rubio, Jeb Bush in it, and John Kasich. And so that's a crowded field that will probably split up a center-right vote that's between 40 and 50% of the primary, which allows Donald an opportunity to win there. It also allows Ted Cruz an opportunity to have a strong second. But I want to point out one thing, Don. I looked this up tonight to get ready to talk to you. Donald Trump's Twitter account has 5.4 million followers. The New York Times daily circulation is 1,370,000 circulation. So every time Donald Trump tweets something out, he has 4 times the impact of a New York Times headline. And so if he chooses to go back and reacquaint the American public, especially the millennials who will not know who Juanita Broderick is, or Paula Jones, or Kathleen Willey, or any of these people, if he chooses to use his Trump account, that's like using the front page of the New York Times, and then people retweet it. I think Hillary Clinton, and this was pointed out to me by my law partner today, Robert O'Brien, who was in the Walker campaign, they would never have gone this route. Scott Walker, and I don't think any other Republican would go this route. But Donald Trump has a certain freedom that no one else has, and those 5.4 million followers makes him sort of the nuclear arsenal of Twitter.
Well, let's talk more about that. I want to talk more about that because this is a Gallup poll. It's just released. The most admired man in America, in the world, most admired, Barack Obama. Guess who's number 2? He ties with Pope Francis. Can you believe that?
Well, he is admired. Today I had a caller. Manhattan businessman, dropped out of high school, owns 8 what he called mom-and-pop pharmacies. He loves Donald Trump. He competes with Dwayne Reed there in Manhattan, all over the place. And he said Dwayne Reed got dropped off of one of the pharmaceuticals. So he gave me a long story about himself on the radio show, and he concluded by saying Donald Trump is an innovator, an entrepreneur, and appeals to me, and I'm not political. He does engage and activate new people. And I mean, those 5.4 million Twitter followers, they may include you and me because we've got to know the news, but he has a reach and an appeal that 11 years on Celebrity Apprentice no one else can match.
Well, I have to tell you, though, you're being fact-checked in real time because the New York Times has 22.7 million followers, just so you know.
Okay, I just looked it up. So not followers, circulation.
Oh, okay.
Not followers, circulation.
On Twitter, all right. Followers is important in the conversation. You're comparing followers to followers. If you compare followers to followers,
you're right.
New York Times has 22 million. Very good. Yeah, 22.7.
So what I'm saying is a Donald Trump tweet will have 4 times the impact of a New York Times headline. Now, followers different from a headline.
Who actually read the paper. Right.
Right, and who actually subscribe to it.
Okay.
And so I think when Trump decides to bring Clinton and says to Hillary, hey, don't start calling me an abuser of women. And I was reminded again by O'Brien today that CNN ran recently a great documentary called The Hunting Ground about campus sexual predators. Bill Clinton's history, whether or not contested or acknowledged or hidden away or put under the rug, whatever, is going to be news to the millennials who have a very different view of that behavior than the generation that Bill Clinton.
Well, I think, though, Hugh, I think that lots of millennials, including my nieces, learned about Hillary Clinton's, and they are all millennials. They learn about it in history and civics classes, so they already know about that. But let's move on. Let's talk now about Dr. Ben Carson.
Do you really think that? I mean,
yes, but my next segment, Hugh, is devoted entirely to this subject. I would like to stick with the Republicans in this one, okay?
Okay, so, but one last question. Do you really think your nieces know who Juanita Broaddrick is? Or
I don't know if they know who Juanita Broaddrick is, but they know in general what happened with Bill Clinton in the Oval Office, and they already know all of that, and they think it's politics as well. And
but that was consensual.
They're not actually big supporters of Hillary Clinton either, but they understand the history of it. But anyway, I want to talk more.
My point is the difference is consensual versus non-consensual, and this generation's view of non-consensual advances is much different than 20 years ago. Go ahead.
I think that's different in a talking point. I think young people are smarter than you think, and I think they learn about all these things in school. But listen, Senator Ted Cruz is still leading in Iowa. Could we still see a new front runner in this race?
I think actually Ted Cruz, as I've been saying this for months, is the only one who could run the board. He can win Iowa. He can come in second in New Hampshire. He can win South Carolina. He could win Nevada. Now, there's also a different scenario where you've got Marco Rubio winning in Nevada and someone other, maybe Donald Trump winning in South Carolina and Chris Christie winning in New Hampshire, which means the March primaries become the second phase of a campaign. So it could go in one of two very massive directions. The only one, though, who can run away with the race is Ted Cruz, because he has got a firewall built on March 1. In Oklahoma, he's going to win. He's going to win in Texas. Mike Huckabee, if he's still in the race, and Mike Huckabee told me on the air, he's dropping out if he doesn't finish 1, 2, or 3 in Iowa. Right now, I don't think he's going to finish 1, 2, or 3 in Iowa. Things change quickly in Iowa. You know that. I know that. But you could see Ted Cruz actually winning 4 or 5 states on March 1, which will make him a prohibitive front runner, not a favorite for the nomination. But he's the only one that can get to that status between now and March 1. The only one.
Thank you, sir. Guess what I'm going to talk about next?
Always a pleasure.
Guess what I'm talking about?